Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Younique Yet Connected.
You are now listening to episode 75 of Younique Yet Connected podcast. The theme for this episode is Need versus Want, the highest form of love.
Someday you will reach that high development stage when you don't need anything from this person, but you want this person. You don't need him for your emotional needs. You want this person to be in your life as he is, without an expectation of him changing. Need is sticky. It's like a flytrap.
Hello, brilliant souls in and around the world. Nolitha Kinga is my name and Dolokas is my clan name, and this is episode 75. A warm welcome to Younique Yet Connected podcast. As always, Kinga and Nika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, Nick. Dear listeners, co-editors, I am Kinga Silaji.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating this wisdom of systemic family constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and, most importantly, implement in our daily lives. In the last episode, I asked, what does being whole looks like at this interdependent stage? And you said, Kings, to take full responsibility for who you are, finding your belonging with who you are and where you come from. And last you said, when you honor who you are complete. The way I hear it is that at this stage, it is where one needs to have reconciled and fully accepted themselves, as well as honoring their systems and belonging. Therefore, if the people haven't gotten to this level as individual, it means that the relationship has not reached the stage. Is that right?
Yes, more than probably. Someday you will reach that high development stage when you don't need anything from this person, but you want this person. You don't need him for your emotional needs. You want this person to be in your life as he is without an expectation of him changing. Need is sticky. It's like a fly trap. It can trap both you and your partner in an unhealthy pattern. In the independent stage, you come to understand that there is something more, which is beyond fully accepting yourself and your partner. This more only opens up when you see that together you can transform beyond your ego and reach the point of full support. I always tell people when they want to get divorced and ask for my advice that the two halves are not going to be equal to the one the relationship used to be. You need to be prepared for this before you decide to divorce. Yes, this is a situation of when 2 + 2 = 5. Our grandparents chose a person after short courtships. They said, okay, fine, this is it, and worked through almost everything that happened in their marriages. We not tend to go out for a long time before committing to a marriage. Yet, all these tests, before deciding whether to marry or not, didn't make our marriages more secure.
I like what you said about divorce. It seems like our grandparents were good at making a choice and sticking with it. You are quite right about premarital tests. I think I was with my ex-husband for almost 10 years before we got married, and all that time didn't make our marriage secure. This is leading to expectations, I think. Can we get to that?
Definitely. But before we go there, I wanted to share the view of systemic family constellations about long unmarried relationships. This view might sound old-fashioned for some, and it's not trying to evaluate anyone's personal preferences. Systemic work says, if you are in a relationship for a long time and do not get married, that there is a great chance that there is a part of you which is looking for a way out from this relationship. Now, personally, I took a very long time to get married the second time, and I wonder what was pulling me away from committing.
Almost took a long time to commit to a marriage with my husband. Earlier on in the relationship with my husband, he made it clear that he wanted to marry me. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. Until one day when my dad's cousin asked me, why am I so involved in his life and the children's life if I'm just the girlfriend? That question triggered me to introspect, and I did. I was already acting like a wife, but saying I was not ready to get married. After that, I realized that I was not being true to myself because of my unresolved fears about commitment. So I decided to have a conversation with Sisa, and the Lobola negotiations took place. In my first marriage, my ex was not ready to get married. And because we were already staying together for a long time, for me, it felt like the next logical step was to get married. So I couldn't understand why he wasn't ready. When I look back, I needed him. I needed someone to complete me. I was going through deep issues with self-acceptance, self-worth, and belonging. I knew he was not whole, but I pushed for marriage to happen, and it happened. Hence, when we broke down, I had to take the responsibility. I couldn't just get out there and only blame him. Even though there was abuse in the marriage, I couldn't be a victim. I had to find a way to work on myself so that I never, ever, ever again go through that kind of unhealthiness in a relationship. It was painful to accept that I knew way before I forced the marriage that he wasn't ready. I even knew the exact moment when I was supposed to walk away and I didn't. It took him almost killing me and losing everything to finally walk out and realize that I needed help.
Yeah, do not be so hard on yourself. It is true that when you are young, you haven't had the time to work on yourself long enough, but this shouldn't stop you from getting married. You cannot get ready for marriage. You can only do it. You might have seen many marriages around you. You are quite privy to your parents' marriage, but it is not you who is married, but them. You haven't lived it yet. It's not an experience of yours. This is why we are talking about the relationship development stages. To see the natural growth in your relationship, how you go from the codependent to counter-dependent to independent, and finally to interdependent stage. After you marry, you go through all these stages together. And like they say, the journey is probably more important than the destination. The most important thing is that you did this together. This journey helps you to end up being absolutely sure that even though you would be perfectly fine on your own, yet your life would be less without this person next to you.
That is so true. Seeing marriages around doesn't get you ready for marriage, even though sometimes people like to believe it does. What do you mean by your life would be less without this person next to you? You are still listening to episode 75. The theme is need versus want, the highest form of love. Remember, when you comment, ask questions, like, and share our content and links, you help us grow and change lives together. Like us on Facebook and on Instagram.
To recognize that one and one are not equal to be as one. If you separate your one, will be less than it was in the relationship. Complementing each other means to learn through the relationship and become more yourself, and your partner becomes more himself than it would have been possible if you were not together.
And then There's something else that people usually say about relationships. The competition. What is that about? Completing sounds close to competing.
Competing defines the counter-dependent stage. Here you moved out from the codependent stage. Before the counter-dependent stage, everything was beautiful. You agreed on everything. Then the relationship is shaken at its core by the unexpected competition that rears its ugly head up. You are fighting over which direction the relationship should be headed, what it should grow into. One big question of this stage is, how should the children be raised?
Relationships makes us face ourselves. They are a mirror and a trigger to what is unresolved in the soul. You said Bradshaw said it takes 25 years for a relationship to get into the inter-independent stage if each person is working on themselves. I feel that when I was younger, if there were communities or programs that helped me to be aware of how to build a healthy relationship with myself first, it would have given me a better shot at choosing a healthy marriage for myself at that time. I made excuses for bad behavior, even more excuses for the abuse. Maybe one day we should do a series or an episode on gender-based violence. A part of me feels because I tolerated the first slap across the face, I gave him permission to treat me in an abusive manner in the end. I'm not saying that the abuse was my fault. I left this part with him. I'm simply just reflecting on how I could have done better at taking care of myself. In the end, after being honest with myself, I realized that I needed to take agency for my life, and I did. As soon as I was honest with myself, I knew I deserved to be in a healthy relationship. And in order to be in a healthy relationship, I needed to be a healthy person. And I couldn't want a healthy person if I wasn't healthy. When I decided to date, it was easier for me to spot unhealthy behaviors. I had to unlearn a lot of things I thought were normal in a relationship. I learned new things, including how I wanted to be treated and feel in a relationship. I basically started from scratch.
Expectations. Every single human being has the right to expect to be treated well with love and respect. When it comes to certain gender-based violence, it's often said by the abuser that she was asking for it. It is true, we women are emotional beings and can overreact in certain situations when we are too deeply reliving a traumatic experience. But the way to move us out is never to use violence against us. Even in the constellation work, it sometimes happens that the representative goes too far into the representation. A facilitator's duty is not to let this happen. When I see this happening, I tell the person not to go in so deep, and it is enough that I have seen the movement. A pattern should be broken in a gentle way, so there is no need to revert to violence. A violent person is never the right person to help us when we get too emotional. The violent person himself is in a fragile emotional state and needs help to move out from it without the use of violence. Expectations are used in the healthiest way as boundaries. When you are clear about what is your expectation from a relationship, it can stop you from staying in one which is not good for you.
I like that, using expectations as a boundary. I had no awareness of healthy expectations in my past marriage. Therefore, I laid boundaries to say, no, you can't go this far with me.
Expectation can build up and also break down a relationship. We will talk more about expectation in our next episode.
Expectations have certainly broken down a lot of relationships. It's great to know that they can also build up relationships. That's a breath of fresh air for me. It helps me look at expectations in a healthy way. Thank you, Kings, for this. And this is the best place to end this episode. Please remember to share this episode to help the next person, as well as helping us grow our podcast.
Thank you for your contribution in helping us to be chosen into the top 10 South Africa Family Podcasts by FeedSpot. Join our monthly virtual connection circle every first Tuesday evening of the month. To receive your link, subscribe on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or check for updates on our socials at Younique Yet Connected.
In the next episode, we will still explore the inter-independent stage of the romantic relationship.
If you feel like you are experiencing limiting patterns or relationship issues and would like to have an individual session, book a family constellation session with us on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or on socials, Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on both platforms is @UniqueYetConnected.
A big thank you to you for listening to our episode, and to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point. Episode 76 is in 2 weeks' time from now. Tune in on the 27th of July 2025 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. For links and updates, stay tuned on our Facebook and Instagram pages @Younique Yet Connected. Younique spelled YOUNIQUE. Stay unique, stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind, and we can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, Kosonom, Bayadanki. Thank you.
Thank you. Siyabulela, Kusanum, Bayadanki.